All right, we're back. Episode 10 of Rap and Reason podcast, and I am one of your hosts, Dr. Jeremy C. McCool.
And I'm Earl Hopkins. What's happening?
What's good, bro?
Life is good, man. I can't complain. I interviewed Wallow, $1 million worth of games, so that was cool,
Hey,
man. So
okay.
his story just dropped, I believe, this week. And
Nice.
his book is solid, bro. I recommend you all buy his book. Armed with Good Intentions, solid read. And I'm seeing him and Charlemagne the God tomorrow. Got invited to see one of their open dialogue sessions, the same one we went to see Charlemagne a couple months ago.
Oh, the one is hosted by Mark Lamar Hill too.
Yes, Uncle
Okay.
Bobby's.
Yes,
So I'm
sir.
excited for another event. I'm excited to connect, with just more Philly folk, man, in the area. So yeah,
Nice,
it's been a dope
man.
week.
How long? So how long you been out here now? What?
Year and a half now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You already in the groove of things, man.
I
Moving
would
around.
say this is like the closest thing to home outside of home because I moved around a lot for work. So this is the first city that I feel I've landed in, and I'm like, yo, like I really got my wings. So
And you know what? I gotta shout out to Philly for that same reason. Both of us have that in common where we've moved to a bunch of different cities for our careers, and I will say that Philly has felt the most like home for me too.
For sure.
I mean, outside of home, I think that it's been the most embracing of a city. I feel like Philly gets a bad rep, man.
It gets a bad rap, and I don't know why. Because when you actually connect with the people, like I'm not gonna lie, I had some cautions going into it. Like before I moved from Austin, Texas to here, I was like, yo, I don't know if I'm vibe well with the people or really get hip to the culture. But like it happened way faster than I imagined. And like my friend tells me this, like the people in Philly may not be like nice, but they're kind. Like they can be kind.
That is a
Like,
good.
Yeah.
That is exactly how I would describe people in
Mhm.
Philly. Yeah, absolutely. Good people though. You know
Good
what
people,
I mean?
solid people.
Who would do right by you for the most part. Like I haven't had any really main issues with Philly people, man. And it's the black professional sector of Philly. I feel like is relatively small, so everybody kind of knows everybody, and
100%.
it's good to it's easy to find your circle. I would say.
Mhm.
So yeah. Shout out to Philly, man.
Shout out to Philly.
Man, we have to start, and for me, man, it's been good too. I would say back in the swinging classes, man, has been
Yeah.
the big thing, man. Working on this grant, and then this book, man. What we're gonna do this week. This week we're gonna roll out. Follow our social media pages if you don't follow us at Earl Hopkins at Dr. Jeremy C. McCool. We're going to do a post this week announcing some of the exclusive interviews that'll be in our book. So we have
Yes.
some exclusive interviews from some very, very impactful but also insightful people who have worked within hip hop. So exciting, man.
It's exciting, bro. And like I said, we having fun in the process. It's stressful, don't get me wrong. Tell my friends all the time, I'm like, listen, don't ever agree to write a book if you're not prepared for it, bro. Just don't do it. Like, just don't do it. But
It's a lot of work.
It's coming together.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so y'all stay on the lookout. The book is about socially conscious rap, specifically about the impacts of J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar. So you all stay on the lookout for that, and we'll keep you all posted on the progress of that. Speaking of hip hop, of course, we have to talk about the unfortunate losses that we've had as of recent. So let's start off. Rich homie Quan, man.
That hurt because, I grew up, like, I'm sure you had this moment too, maybe in college
Yes,
too,
sir.
where you listen to Rich Homie Quan, like you hear rumblings from him just in Atlanta and just how the Atlanta trap scene was just changing. And him, Thug, Young Thug, Future, like a lot of those artists were kind of on the cusp of that. They're the ones that were like bringing in like a different sound, a more melodic trap sound. And Rich Homie Quan was like, he was a star, bro, at one
Absolutely.
point. Like he was a star. Songs like Lifestyle, those are like anthems.
Those
You know
are
what I mean?
classics.
Classic records. So for him to go, for him to pass in the way he did, it's disheartening because drug-related, deaths, it happens far too often in hip-hop, and it's just sad to see another one.
Is that what they ended up verifying that it was? Oh, man.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate, man, because only in his 30s,
34 years old.
34, which is extremely young still,
Mm-hmm.
It definitely impacted me for the same reason. Listened to a lot of his music in college. Anybody who knew me in college, in high school too, they know that I will argue people down about hip hop. I like just arguing about hip hop.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest arguments was always, and I know you probably would disagree because you're a big Young Thug guy, but when they both came out, I used to always say Rich Homie Quan was better.
I thought he was better.
Really?
I did too.
I always did because as somebody who pays a lot of attention to lyrics, I always found more substance in what Rich Homie Quan was saying in his music. And I always was like, no, he can actually rap about other things outside of just partying and whatever. Like, and definitely impacted me, man. Had a lot of songs that were like my soundtrack in college. You know, one of my favorite songs by him being Some Type of Way. When I say I played that song, I probably have listened to that song. It has to be. It's in the thousands of times in my lifetime, and it's one of those songs I always go back to. And yeah, man, he has several of them that are like that with me, where it's like these are like staple songs that remind me of college and just little go getter songs that have been. I'll say they just lighten your mood. You know what I mean, and put you in a better space. So man. Definitely prayers out to his family. What's one of the songs that you really like by Rich Homie Quan?
Feel Some Type of Way. Like, I haven't really.
That was the one.
Yo, I need to really dig even deeper because it's been so long since I really connected with his music. But like,
Flex too.
Flex is, bro. Everybody was doing that silly.
That dance was crazy.
Dog. It was crazy.
And you tried it too.
Thrust in the air, of course. That was at one point, that was one of my go-tos.
That was your
college,
move in the
bro,
party.
The club. Absolutely, bro. So, yeah, the music video, you know what I mean? Like, his music, like you said, just hit in a different way, and it was motivational. Like,
absolutely,
you know what I mean? Like, he had moments where he had that really just hustle music too. So the fact that he was able to connect the melodic, the trap, and just the gritty street sound of Atlanta at that time, like Rich Homie Quan had a moment, man. Like between I would say 2014 to 2016, 2017, like I would put that discussion up against anybody. I would have picked him to outlast a lot of those Atlanta artists, to be honest. But, due to label disputes and, him being forced to kind of veer away from dropping music, I honestly think if he would have stayed consistent, he would have still been at atop the game. He may have even been at the center of, the trap sound or Atlanta music scene for a minute.
I would agree. I think that definitely due to his label circumstances, if I'm not mistaken, I know that there was like a falling out between him and Young Thug, and that also probably made people pick sides as far as who they wanted to do music with, and with Young Thug kind of rising faster, I would say, as far as his music career. But at one point in time, Rich Homie Quan was a bigger artist.
I think so.
And I don't remember which song was kind of the turning point where Young Thug's career kind of got bigger. I can't really put was it Pass Me the Hookah? What was it?
I would say I don't know if it's one song. I think it's a string of like mixtapes because at one point he was just cranking out. He was almost matching Future as far as just like the amount of like albums or mixtapes he was dropping.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think by the time Barter 6 came around, which is crazy in hindsight.
That might have been the one.
I think that at that point it was kind of like, okay, the momentum is shifted towards this dude who like has this unique voice and unique flow.
Very
named
unique
Young
voice.
Thug, yeah.
Yeah, and that to me is one of the things that I think both of them had in common, where they both both had very unique sounds. And sonically they sounded completely different. They didn't really sound like one another at all to me. And I definitely would say that Young Thug was a lot more melodic.
Yeah.
And played around with the pitch of his voice a lot more. And I would definitely say that Rich Homie Quan was definitely more so of the rapper.
For sure.
In the lyrics, man, definitely sad situation, man. We're losing way too many artists, and I always say this in a joking way, but even though it's I kind of mean it. It's always the good ones. The trash artists be living to be 95. You know, it's always. It seems like it's always like the ones who had the most potential, who put out the most classic music, who reach their demise so young.
Yeah,
you know?
And sometimes they even drop their best work before they go. Like I think of someone like a Mac Miller who dropped Swimming.
Yes.
Like so, I think that album actually dropped after his death. I could be wrong, but like it was prime for another big moment for Mac, and due to his addiction, he ultimately overdosed, and we lost a great artist in the process. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's just unfortunate that we see those kind of artists go so soon, like
yeah, man. He still had the rest of his life in front of him. So man, and this is one of the reasons, man, why. And he's actually in several songs that I've heard of his spoken about, battling his addictions with drugs. So it's sad to hear that was what took him out. But man, I that is one of the reasons why I always advocate against people who glorify drugs within their music, man. And I always say there's a difference between talking about the addictions that you're facing and glorifying it, and making it sound like this is cool.
Right.
And artists who do that, man, it's hard for me to. I know the level of impact that has because of you normalizing certain specific drugs.
Yes.
And in the last few years, man, the way that people have normalized, especially pills, man.
Yeah.
Like it to me is just crazy.
It's crazy. And like we had the privilege of interviewing somebody that kind of broke down, the Atlanta music scene and how it evolved. And one of those elements, not all, but one of the elements is like rappers talking about, their drug dealing past, right?
Absolutely.
And how it went from artists talking about them, hustling on the streets to then like over time, like artists talking about them using drugs.
Right.
And how that affected them and it played out into their music and their influence. And so when you have young hip hop fans listen to this, they're then attracted to that type of lifestyle, and it's just a downward spiral from that front. So I definitely agree with you.
Absolutely. And in that discussion, one of the points that I had brought up is the fact that I've always thought that people speaking of glorifying drug use is more dangerous than glorifying drug dealing, just because most people don't even have the desire, ambition, or any of that to try to become a drug kingpin. So when they're hearing that, they're almost visualizing it like a movie. Not to say that there aren't some people who do, of course, engage in trying to become a drug dealer, but a lot of people, when they hear, the Jeezys and the Jay-Z's talk about their lives, their past lives selling drugs, most people don't even envision that as a reality, as opposed to drug use is accessible to everybody. And that's something that is especially young kids who are susceptible to that type of influence, can be like, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with Percocets because it's normalized now. And when me growing up, like I never even heard a rapper ever mention a Percocet. That is
they were on drugs,
right?
Like in the 80s.
Oh, they were on drugs,
90s.
But you never heard a rapper really talk about
not really
a
not
Percocet.
in depth. Not in like
or Vicodin or any of that stuff. Like
not in the same way now.
Absolutely no, not. that wasn't the norm. Not to say that you didn't hear rappers talk about drugs, because people talked about doing lean, which is also just as deadly.
Yes.
You heard alcohol, weed, whatever, but pills was never even like in the music I listened to, at least.
In the music I listened to, I didn't hear anything about that. But like me growing up and listening to hip hop music, I'm looking back. Even the song Lifestyle that I was listening to just after hearing about Rich Homie Quan's past, and I'm like, this is wild, bro. Why was I singing this at 17? You know what I mean?
One of the moments for me like that made me, and I'm somebody who's a large advocate for freedom of speech. So when I say the music is impactful, I think all of these songs should be able to be made. It's just what should be accessible to children.
Absolutely.
Is more so always my point of view with it. I think any type of song should be able to be made. I stand on that hill of freedom of speech. But as far as what should be available to children, I remember when I worked in radio, man, when Mask Off came out by Future, and I just remember just listening to the radio and hearing like the chorus being Molly Percocet. I just couldn't believe that this was the chorus of a song. I was like, and we're playing this on the radio, and it was at that moment where I was like, okay, this is able to impact people differently, because this is normalizing something that young people are listening to. So definitely think those songs should be able to be made, but I definitely think it's on the parents as far as what you're allowing your children to listen to, which is of course harder with the internet. But then also, man, record labels have to be held accountable for which songs they're pushing as singles too, and which songs they're pushing to the masses. So yeah.
I agree with that, because I listened to an interview with Lil Cohen. Wild interview. It was a Breakfast Club interview from a few years ago, and I'm listening to him talk about just the artists at 300 Entertainment. And him talking about having, like, I believe Young Thug at one point was signed at 300, and then he did his own thing. And somebody, I believe it was Charlamagne, asked him, do you care if your artists do drugs? He said, in one moment, I don't want to work with any junkies. That's what he called them. That's what Leor said. I don't want to work with any junkies. I can't do it, right? But then his artists then go ahead and make songs that revolve around the use of drugs.
Right.
And then when someone followed up on that question, asked him, he was like, oh, I don't care what they do. So like you have executives. He's now at YouTube. He's like the global head of YouTube music. You hear people like that. They genuinely don't care. They don't care about who this music affects. They don't care about how artists come to the conclusions or end result to make this music. All they care about is the dollars. So yeah, it's definitely responsibility placed on the music executives' back, because you, by virtue, are helping lead into that downward spiral, as we talked about earlier, with kids listening to hip hop and then later on diving into drug use, because this music is all over the radio, is all over streaming services and everything else. When we should come and cross the line, sure, the music can be made, that's cool, whatever,
Absolutely.
right? But you can't really regulate that. But as far as what ascends at the top, and then what's spread into the mass, you can control that.
Absolutely. And you're and it's even to the point where you're helping decide which of those songs off that album is going to be the single.
For sure.
And which ones you want to push to the forefront, and which ones you want to invest the money in to put on radio.
Absolutely.
Or to put on playlists. All of that stuff is being decided by record labels and executives. So definitely think that there should be some accountability there. The next one, unfortunately, we have two to talk about.
Yes.
Another very this unfortunate situation, man, is Fatman Scoop has also passed away, man. And for anybody who's not familiar with Fatman Scoop, legendary artist, but also hype man. He's the voice that you would hear on a lot of your favorite records. For anybody who's ever seen the movie You Got Served, which was a big movie when I was a kid, that one made me feel like I was gonna be a dancer. It was gonna be my career.
What?
I'm
You
telling
gonna
you,
be a breakdancer, bro?
I watched You Got Served, man. I was like, oh, I could do this, and I did. And I was a professional dancer for a little while.
Wow.
I did a short stint as a hip hop dancer.
A few more years, you would have been in the Paris Olympics, bro.
I could have beat her. I'm standing on that. That lady. I could have beat her. I would right now. I'm talking now.
Right now.
I could beat her now.
Haven't trained in years, but you could. You know what I'm saying? Clean her up. That's
absolutely crazy. Could clean her up, bro. But that is that first song on You Got Served. That intro. That's Fatman Scoop's voice. You know what I mean? That song's called Drop. For anybody who wants to listen to it, it's Timberland, McCool, and then it's Fatman Scoop on it. One of my favorite songs by Fatman Scoop, man, and just a legendary figure, man. And the one song that everybody knows, everybody has been out and about, not me, I don't go to clubs or none of that,
Of course not. Of course not, Dr. McCool.
Absolutely
You're always
not.
in the classroom. And if you're not in the classroom, you're preparing for the class.
And if I'm not doing that, I'm reading a book.
Exactly.
But one of the things you've always heard, if you've ever heard, you got $100 bill, put your hands up. Single ladies, make noise, all of that. That's Fatman Scoop. For anybody who's not familiar, man. So just a legendary figure. Unfortunately, he collapsed on stage.
Yes.
And ended up passing away later on.
56 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Just a very unfortunate circumstance. And yeah, man. Just another one gone too young.
Too young.
Yeah, man. But another legendary figure in hip hop who is whose sound will stand the test of time. Some of those songs that I'm referencing, those songs were early 2000s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're still played now.
Like that song with Missy Elliott. The name is escaping me.
Lose Control.
Lose Control.
Absolutely.
Fire. He has a song with Mariah Carey that I love. Faithful, of course, is the one you referenced earlier.
Absolutely.
He actually has a song with Smino, him and Doechii, which we'll actually talk about later.
Absolutely.
Who I listened to on Smino's Love for Rent album that I absolutely love. And Fatman Scoop is on there, putting his hype man magic to work. So it's just crazy, man. Another one we're gonna miss just in this space, this music space. So.
Another one, man.
Yeah.
So rest in peace to Fatman Scoop, and also prayers up to his family. Absolutely. And other news to switch paces a little bit. There was a big announcement made recently.
There was, man.
A huge announcement made about the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yes.
For those who do not know, that Jay-Z and Roc Nation have been helping curate the Super Bowl shows, halftime shows, since I believe 2021.
I believe so. Yeah.
I want to say it was the first time that they jumped into that role, and the next performer will be in 2025 will be Kendrick Lamar.
Yes.
Kendrick Lamar, man. What were your thoughts when you first saw that?
So I felt amazing, bro. Because that's the type of artist like that deserves a halftime show. Like, let's just keep it honest. Like Kendrick Lamar, he arrived or he made an appearance during Dr. Dre's Super Bowl performance back in LA, right?
Yes, a dope appearance.
A super dope performance. And I watched that saying to myself years ago, he should be a headliner himself. Like, absolutely. I love what's going on, but like I see him being a headliner. So the fact that, a few years later he's in that space, he's going to be at the front of his own halftime show. And it's just not just Kendrick. It's Kendrick and friends. So if we see something like we saw at the Pop Out, we already know that it's going to be some magic on that stage, man. I think it is interesting, though. I will say I'm excited for this performance. I know it's going to be magic. It's clearly built on the momentum he has built this entire year. I don't think there's any bigger artist in hip-hop right now than Kendrick Lamar.
No.
I think he just made that clear. And I think the Super Bowl appearance, him agreeing to do it, is just proof of that. But I will say it is interesting with it being in New Orleans because I know a particular artist, I'm sure you'll get into it, was really vying for that spot. And truthfully, he deserves his own Super Bowl halftime show as well, especially in his city of origin. But I'll just say that.
Absolutely. And I would say the same, man. I was definitely excited. I think that Kendrick Lamar is what he's done, man, in music is just unprecedented. Like, we've never seen a rapper, a conscious rapper, which is really what Kendrick Lamar is.
In his roots.
He's a rapper's rapper. He's a conscious rapper. He if you strip down all of the hits, he is Mos Def. He is Talib Kweli. He is that, except has been able to make it mainstream.
100%.
And I think that we've never seen that in a Super Bowl halftime show. We've never seen that type of rapper get that shine at the Super Bowl. So I think this is big for hip-hop. I think it's a major moment for an artist as respected within hip-hop as a Kendrick Lamar to have that spot. And I think it really solidifies the global impact of hip-hop. So I think that all of the stars have aligned for it to be Kendrick Lamar, especially with this year.
Absolutely.
I mean, it just makes too much sense. And I will also say that I think one of the big things that I think people aren't really talking about when it comes to Kendrick Lamar doing the halftime show, people have to realize that he just did a live show with Amazon that had, I would guess, millions of people watching it live at the same time between different platforms. I am sure that the NFL saw those numbers.
Had to.
And said, oh, you have this many people who want to watch you live. So I also think that probably played a role in it. So for me, the stars aligned for it to be Kendrick Lamar. I will say, as far as one of the big things that has come up is that a lot of people feel like Lil Wayne should be the person to do it since the Super Bowl is in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And to me, what I think that is I think it's deeper than Lil Wayne. I think that the South in general has been downplayed within hip hop.
Undermined, for sure.
Undermined, downplayed, and especially if you take Atlanta off the table. When you talk about Louisiana, when you talk about Mississippi, when you talk about Alabama, when you talk about Houston, all of them have been downplayed within hip-hop and never have gotten their credit or their just due. So I can 100% understand and respect that people are coming out and saying, no, we think Lil Wayne deserves to be there because of his impact and with it being in Louisiana. And I think it's a bigger conversation than just Lil Wayne. I will also say that I think Lil Wayne should have done it 6 years ago. 7 years ago, maybe. I think that Lil Wayne could have done a halftime show 6, 7, 8 years ago. But I will say, right now, it makes sense for Kendrick Lamar to be.
It just does.
Lil Wayne hasn't put out an album in 4 or 5 years. I would say.
Since Funeral, like a first full length, like this is an album type of release, 2020, yeah.
Absolutely, and that wasn't the biggest album. So when you're talking about current, and I have to add this, and I hate to add this because I'm somebody who is definitely advocates for Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne's commercial songs that have been his biggest songs, the clean versions of them, half the words are going to be gone. Be very clear. Lollipop, while it's a classic, you know what I mean? His material for the Super Bowl a milli. You know what I mean? Is it gonna go crazy? Yes, but is he gonna have to blank out half the song? You got to make a whole another rendition, which I think Lil Wayne is capable of doing. Which a lot of rappers would do in those cases. They'll just replace those words with other words in those type of cases. Which Lil Wayne is one of the greatest rappers ever, so he can do it. But I think that right now it just makes more sense. Take Louisiana out of it, it makes sense. But I will say I respect how different artists are riding for Lil Wayne.
Yeah, no, I love that because the truth is, like I said, there's very few artists within rap that I feel deserve their own Super Bowl halftime show. Lil Wayne is that. He's proved that his catalog is almost unmatched in rap. Like when you talk about from the late '90s when he was with what was the group name? Wow, I can't believe
Cash Money Millionaires or Hot Boys.
Hot Boys, right? It's from the Hot Boys to now. Like he has records that span decades that really made statements.
Back that thing up at the Super Bowl was going crazy.
It's going crazy. Like he has so many songs that is going wild. This man created a statement or a phrase we all say, bling bling. You know what I'm saying? Like
Absolutely.
so he's already established firm ground, obviously, in hip-hop and music history, so I think he's capable of putting on an amazing show. I saw him at Roots Picnic where it was Lil Wayne and friends. Like, that was a setup. It was P.J. Morton, another New Orleans legend.
Yep.
It was Lloyd, who I love as an R&B vocalist.
Who does not get the credit he deserves.
He is definitely underrated.
That's another conversation we have to have.
So I saw them together with, like, a band backing them up, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, I think, like you said, all the stars align for this to be Kendrick's moment. And while I would love to see Lil Wayne in New Orleans, and in fact, him and Kendrick have a song together, Mona Lisa.
Absolutely. I was thinking
it's
the
Kendrick's
same thing.
moment.
And to me, I think there's a couple things at play here. And I 100% agree with what you said. I think that Lil Wayne, Mrs. Officer, when you're talking about how many hits Lil Wayne has.
Yeah.
And that's not even including the features. We haven't even gotten into his features that he can perform. I think that it like I said, I think Lil Wayne should have done it 6-7 years ago. I think that at that point would have been made the most sense.
I have a perfect moment he could have did it. You know, like how we waited for 5-6 years for the Carter 5. I think if he would have dropped it, then come out that following Super Bowl, I think that would have been a crazy moment.
That would have been a perfect moment. Or he should have done it. Let me talk about one of the worst Super Bowl performances.
Okay.
When y'all brought out J-Lo and Shakira.
Yeah, that was crazy, bro. That was crazy.
Trash, let me tell you.
I get what that does for, you know what I mean, my Hispanic folks, my Latinx folks, but that was not it, bro.
Bro.
Sorry, it wasn't.
Bro, I never heard nobody say, man, we want to hear J-Lo.
Sing? Nah. Actually? Nah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So to me, that one, that was what, 2020? 2019, 2020? That is when Lil Wayne should have been doing
Lil
it.
Wayne could have did that.
And like I said, I don't think it's too late for him to do it. I think he should drop, if he drops the next Carter album, if it has some hits on, I think it still would allow for him to do it. But I think there's another big issue when you talk about the possibility of him coming out and performing with Kendrick Lamar.
I don't like that.
You can't,
I don't think he should.
I wouldn't mind it but the problem with it is we're not considering the Drake situation.
Oh yeah.
You see, and that still is in play. Still have, Lil Wayne being the artist who discovered Drake. Kendrick Lamar is gonna come out. He's probably gonna do Not Like Us at some point.
Yeah.
The optics of what that looks like is probably something that Lil Wayne wouldn't agree to do anyway.
Yeah.
Just based on his affiliation with Young Money, Cash Money, that whole camp. So, yeah, man, I think I get people's critique, and like I said, I'm somebody who has always been a huge advocate for Southern rap, but just always have been an advocate for it because I know how much it gets downplayed.
Yeah,
and I know that at one point New York just thought that New York was the only music that mattered, and then eventually, Atlanta barged in the door and made people respect them, but there's other areas of the South that haven't gotten respected in that same way. So I understand, and I like I said, I like seeing the way. And most of the people who've come out and who have said that Lil Wayne should have had this opportunity, I don't really hear any of them discrediting Kendrick Lamar while doing so. I haven't heard anybody say Kendrick Lamar trash, it should be Lil Wayne. Like, I haven't heard any of the celebrities who have came out and advocated, whether it's Nicki Minaj, whether it's Juvenile, any of them who have come out.
I've actually heard the reverse, and that's also a problem I have, is people bringing up potentially like Lil Wayne's professionalism or lack thereof, which is something that I've never even heard rumblings of.
I've seen Lil Wayne perform live, and this was in my radio. This is when I was interning at iHeartRadio in Chicago. It was he performed at Summer Jam in Chicago, and when I say one of the greatest rap performances I've seen, amazing, and he knows his audience, which is one thing I like about Lil Wayne when he performs. He performed in Chicago. He knew that we ain't want to hear Lollipop. He went there and was like, I'm performing all of the mixtape stuff that I know y'all want to hear. I'm performing John. I'm performing all the hard verses that I've spit. And that's really what he did for most of his performance. And it was amazing. So, I don't know. I've never heard that about Lil Wayne not being professional or he's not one of those artists who I've heard people go to his concerts and leave not fulfilled. So I don't know where
saying that he's late or anything. I've seen that with other artists who you would never imagine that from, but not Wayne. So the fact that people are bringing that up and comparing potentially what he's like versus Kendrick or what America's perception of someone like a Kendrick versus a Lil Wayne is, all of a sudden, like, I just think that's kind of tasteless. Lil Wayne would be a great, performer on this end, but, it's Kendrick's moment. And I think Wayne understands that. Although, like, it's hard for someone to, like, come to that conclusion when it's in your backyard, it's in your city. But, like, I don't think Lil Wayne, if we sat him down, had a lie detector test, if we asked, you feel a way about Kendrick Lamar? Like, do you feel he's worthy of a Super Bowl halftime show? I don't think he would say no.
I don't think anybody who is an actual hip-hop fan can say that about Kendrick
I don't
Lamar.
think so.
Kendrick Lamar, he's more than earned his spot.
Absolutely.
So and like I said, I'm looking forward to the performance. Either way, I would have been excited about it. Whether they had rolled it out being Kendrick or rolled it out being Lil Wayne, I don't think you could lose. But I also don't. Lil Wayne's not. People are talking like this is like Lil Wayne can't possibly do it next year or the year after that. You know what I mean? So I think it'll make more sense if Lil Wayne puts out an album that's critically acclaimed beforehand. You know what I mean? I think it'll be a more buzz for it. It'll excite people even more. So Lil Wayne's a legend, so he got enough hits to perform for hours on end. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the halftime show. And I think that what Kendrick does even with full stage shows, I think is going to be epic.
He's different, bro. Like, I've seen him perform like a number of times.
I've never seen him live, man.
He's amazing live. He's one of my favorite, I would say, artists like that's in his lane, I would say. Like, to hear somebody rap for like 5 straight minutes without really taking any breathers or having the audience like recite the lyrics instead of him, like, to see that level of performance, breath control, like all the visual elements. He's really one-on-one when it comes to that. I still say Travis Scott is my favorite live performer, period. But when it comes to rap specific, like especially a more traditional rap artist, I would say Kendrick is probably at the top of my list.
Nice.
As far as live performances go. But
he's on the list of ones I need to see. So for this next album, man, if he goes on tour, I need to try to make my way there,
it's
man.
a must for me.
It's gonna sell out in 30 seconds, but I'm gonna be on the internet trying to get a ticket.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of that too, I know we have another TDE artist, or what's his name? Isn't on TDE anymore, but he's definitely from that family tree, right? Doechii, like, artist out of Tampa Bay, Florida. Tampa, Florida. Amazing lyricist, and it's no surprise that the folks at TDE swooped her up and is now pushing her as a talent. So she dropped a new album, Alligator Bites Don't Heal. Like, how did you feel about the project, man?
Man, let me say, so I am new to Doechii. I didn't know anything about her until like a few weeks ago. Like, it just wasn't on my radar. I'm not a TikTok person. So apparently I've heard that she's already had some songs that were big on TikTok. I missed it. I have a TikTok. Do I use it? No, I don't
use mine.
It's just there. So I will say that I didn't have like much expectations or any expectations just because I didn't know much about her artistically. But I did. What made me say, hey, we should probably review this was one. It was a clip I saw online of the song she has on that album called Nissan Altima. And I was like, oh, she's different. I was like, I heard her rapping. I heard like her flows. I was like, oh no, this is a rapper.
Yeah.
Like, this is a lyricist. Like when I was listening to her, I was like, and she sounds very unique and has a distinct sound. And I can definitely hear the even Kendrick Lamar influence.
Definitely.
Just as far as how she plays around with her voice, some of the ad libs, putting some of the melodic stuff underneath it, like just the way she even layers up some of her songs. I can definitely hear that influence, as well as I can hear other influence. And for this project, man, I loved it. I would say that the second half isn't for me, but the first half to me was amazing. A lot of like less is more type of production is what I like to call it, which is like very Wu-Tang, 90s backpack type hip hop traditional beats, and with her just rapping, man, and catchy songs. Everything that I was like. I found when I heard Nissan Altima, the whole first half of the album is that.
Yeah.
I think that it's cool. I see what she tried to do by making the second half more like melodic and more pop sounding. For the second half, that's not my type of music, but I can even acknowledge that listening to it, I was like, these are good songs though. Very, very well produced album. I'll say that the production was a very, very. You could tell she put a lot of energy and money into the production on this album because it sounds. It just sounds great. It's mixed well. Everything really about the actual audio on this album impressed me, man. She is now on there. Like now, this project makes she's now up there on my list of the women rappers who are out doing it right now. Like I said, and I had no idea who she was until 2 weeks ago. So definitely will be checking out her projects moving forward. What you think?
Yeah, so the first time I heard Doechii was actually on Shimino's album, Love for Rent, in 2022. And so I heard her verse. I'm like, yo, this woman got something. Like I didn't really dive into her catalog or just like whatever music she had out at the time. But now knowing that I listened to her 2 years ago and seeing this progress that she made on this project, speaks volumes. There's a lot of songs I love. I love the first intro. What is it? Stankapoo. I'll never say that out loud again.
That's
for
hilarious.
The purposes of the podcast.
What's the name of it, bro?
Yeah, it's a song. It's an intro. But yeah, like songs like that. Denial is a River, Catfish. Even later in the project, Beverly Hills. She's versatile. She's lyrical. Absolutely. She's an all-around package. Like that's what she is. The reason why I brought up TDE and her affiliation with the music label is that they know how to nurture their artists. They have an Isaiah Rashad, a SZA. Like, they know how to morph these artists into full artists, like, all around by the time we really get to recognize them. So her songs have gone viral on TikTok, but now we're introduced to the person and the artist together. And I love what I heard. Although, like, there were patches, I'll admit, that, like, kind of took me out of it just because this isn't really the style of music I listen to as often as maybe I used to in years past. Like, I see the talent there. It's there. There's nothing more you can ask from a artist in rap, period, but especially seeing how different she may be to some of the other mainstream acts. It's refreshing. It's really refreshing to hear this. So Doechii is dope. I love the fact that she's from South Florida because, she takes certain tidbits from those artists as well as other artists of the past, man. Like, you can hear on Stankapoo, I'm going to say it again. Stankapoo,
what's it called?
Stankapoo, you can hear the Kendrick-isms, like, in the songs. Sure. I hear, this may surprise people, I hear a little Eve. I also hear a little Rhapsody. I also hear a little tidbit from all these other premier
I definitely heard
women
Eve.
Artists. Yeah, I hear it.
And I heard Eve, and there's a lot of storytelling in here. And that's one thing that really drew me in is that, I felt like I left the album. A lot of times you listen to albums and you leave and you're like, I don't know. I don't feel like I know this person at all. This album, after I left it, I was like, oh, I feel like I know stuff about her. Like it was a lot of storytelling. Some stories about just her career and her really wanting to put out more conscious stuff, but, her blowing up off of some of the more pop songs and some of the stuff she's dealt with that. I've also heard a lot of her talking about colorism and her not necessarily being taken as serious, being a dark-skinned woman. So I left with something. There was definitely substance there. Some of the standout songs for me are Prophet being one, Catfish being one. Death Row being one, GTFO being one, Boiled Peanuts being another one. There are definitely some Denial is a River being another great one. So yeah, man, if you haven't heard this project, I highly, highly recommend it. But I also will say that it's refreshing because one of my critiques about the new wave that's happening with more women artists in hip hop, which I think is amazing, is that there isn't the same versatility that you see in male rappers now. So, and with that resurgence, I wanted to see more mainstream women rappers with different styles. You know, with everybody not talking about the exact same thing. And I think that we're finally starting to get more of that. I think Doechii sounds completely different than those other rappers that are out. I think Rhapsody, who still needs to be pushed more in the mainstream, in my opinion, who still isn't getting her full just due, but it's still, visible. And I think that we're finally getting more artists that are diversifying the sound and the subject matter more, which I think is great, man. I think it's great for women in hip hop. I think that hopefully people get behind her music and support it. She has the TDE machine behind her, so I don't doubt that. And I think that this is something that traditional hip hop fans can appreciate.
For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Shout out to Doechii. I highly recommend it, man. If you haven't heard it, check it out.
Check it out, man.
Yeah, check it out. What else we want to get into, man?
Oh man.
What else we have? Another topic that we have. Also, we have to shout out, man. We now have an intern.
We do.
/ producer.
Great intern. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a student intern and producer, man. Shout out to Brandon Bond, one of my students currently actually in my hip hop course, man. He's joined the Rap and Reason team, and he's helping us put together some of the topics, some of the great reels that you all are seeing now online. Are from Brandon, man. So great guy with a bright future in journalism and in broadcasting, man. So shout out to Brandon, man.
Shout out to Brandon, man.
He's helping the show. He's helping push this show forward now.
Absolutely. And of course, we love and appreciate y'all. And so the fact that Brandon gets introduced to y'all by way of this podcast too is dope. So show him some love. Follow him on Instagram and on TikTok.
Yeah, absolutely. Check him out. And then one of the topics that he put on here, man, that I think is interesting is favorite artists from your home state, and those being, for me, being Illinois and you being Ohio. What's yours?
Oh, it's simple for me because when I look at artists like that are from the region, right, or from the state, it's really only a handful that really stick out in my mind, like when it comes to rap. But I'll widen it a little bit because come from a small state, like you got to broaden it a bit. So I know like newer artists like MGK, like Kid Cudi, some throwbacks, or the Leverts. They're from Cleveland. The Ohio players are from Ohio.
I did not know Gerald Levert was from Ohio.
And so for me, my favorite artist probably will always be is Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi, from Cleveland, born and raised in Cleveland. And he's just like he was a transcendent artist for me just growing up. Just the versatility, his openness, his vulnerability in his music, like I always connected with it. And the fact that he was from my home state, it just made that connection even stronger. So, it's tough. I would say Kid Cudi is probably at the top of my list.
Okay. For mine, it's hard, man. When talking about just hip hop, it gets really difficult for me. One of them is absolutely Common. Common is somebody who has stayed true to his sound in hip hop. Extremely lyrical. His Project B, man, when I was young, was just like one of my favorite albums, period. I listened to it just nonstop. Like that was one of my go-to albums, was B. And so Common's music just has been very impactful for me. So I absolutely have to shout out Common and his influence, and he sounds just distinctly different from everybody else. And he's always represented Chicago in his music, whether it's songs like Southside, I Used to Love Her. He just always has shown so much love and admiration to the city of Chicago that I have to put Common in there. I have to put Kanye West in there.
Of course.
No matter what people say about Kanye, yes, he's missing a couple screws, but
chromosomes maybe.
Maybe a few chromosomes. Yeah, you just never know what you're gonna get from Kanye on a personal level or even musically, honestly, at this point. But what Kanye's early music did for me, man, extremely impactful in my life. Definitely represented the city. Not only put out great music, but also just produce great music for other artists, like a Common. Like I said, one of my favorite albums to come out of the city being B by Common is produced by Kanye West.
Right.
So it's like on both sides of the spectrum, as a producer and as an artist, I think that Kanye West's music has lasted the test of time and also just been extremely impactful in my life, man. Honorable mention to Lupe too, but those are definitely the ones, and honorable mention to Chance. But yeah, those Common and Kanye, man, just had what they've done together in their music and their sound, even the stuff that they've done together, man, is just some of my favorite music as far as hip hop to come out of the city.
And a couple artists that people don't know are from Ohio too. I have to throw this in there because I just thought of it as you were talking about your hometown. Like some of the biggest artists just in music, period, are from Illinois, but some no-name, like not no-name, but not well-known, like Ohioans, dog. Mulatto.
Hold on.
She was born in Columbus.
Really? Okay?
We have the baby. The baby was born in Ohio as well. They will never claim it, but they were born in Ohio. Random. Of course, like I gotta just show love to Bow Wow because he was a cultural figure.
Put some respect on Bow Wow,
Put some respect on Bow Wow. We covered that. We talked about that, like, and people still have yet to give Bow Wow his flowers, man. But Bow Wow, born in Columbus, Ohio, he's like our hometown go-to.
He had you Harlem Shaking growing up.
He had me Harlem Shaking. Braids,
big
Browns jerseys with the baggy jeans and the AF ones.
Oh man,
G Phazo. So yeah, man, I can't not acknowledge Bow Wow. I just can't.
Yeah, and same here, man. As some other artists in different genres that I have to acknowledge, man. Shaka Khan being another big one out of Chicago that I have to always acknowledge, man. Just a one of one type talent as far as a singer. Buddy Guy. Being another one, He Who Shall Not Be Named, musically, you know who I'm talking about.
Do I?
He Who Cannot Be Named, who's from Chicago, man.
Oh yeah, nah,
yeah,
he can't. He's the boogeyman.
I can't say his name, but y'all know who I'm talking about, man. As far as musically,
he had y'all stepping in the name of love. For those that don't get it,
man, you saying too much. But yeah, yes, musically
only.
His music definitely was transformative in what the Chicago sound would become. Yeah, man, just there's a lot of legendary artists from the Midwest, man. The Midwest doesn't get the credit it deserves,
Not
man.
at all.
And really, even when you're looking at Chicago, man, you're talking about the home of house music. You're talking about the home of gospel music. You know what I mean? You're talking about one of the heavy hitting cities for blues, like. It's just been very, very impactful.
And the man symbol you have on your hat, Prince, is from Minneapolis.
Facts.
The Midwest, bro.
Yes, sir, man. And Prince, man, is different.
Different type of talent,
that's
bro.
Genius level. Prince. You talking about a one of one talent, Prince. And I don't think that he still to me has the best Super Bowl performance. Bro, it rained when he sung Purple Rain.
That's different.
It legitimately rained outside. Well, yeah. To me, he still has my favorite Super Bowl.
Not Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake.
You're a wild boy.
You're a
wild boy.
You know what I mean?
You're wild.
It was surprising. You can't say it
that was the most shocking.
The shock value brings it up notches, bro.
Yo, why he leave her out to dry like that?
That's what I'm saying. That was weird behavior.
Like, how did she get blamed for what he did?
I didn't.
When you think about it now,
I didn't get that.
Like, how did she get in trouble for that?
You know what I'm saying? She didn't pull it off, like, herself. Like, come on, bro. Like, Justin Timberlake went into, like, a shell after that, too. He didn't release no music.
Bro, he didn't get any criticism for that.
Yeah, I feel like she took the brunt of it, though.
Bro,
for sure.
Like, wow. There was no Me Too out when he did that. Because if there was, if that happened today, the response would be completely different.
It would be on his trail.
Yeah, no, that's... Shout out Janet Jackson. Just cause.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Michael Jackson, Gary, Indiana, Midwest, bro.
Oh yeah. We definitely claiming Michael.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jackson 5, period, man.
Yeah.
Is that the one you would put one? What would you put as the best Super Bowl performance that you've seen?
I would put Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson went crazy.
Nuts. But I also think, like,
he performed multiple times, didn't he? Or
maybe multiple. but definitely the one. And another person who like, cause I got to think about what Super Bowl performance I've actually seen. Maybe not like live, but at least YouTube and you know what I mean. So I put Usher. I haven't seen that many, but I would put Usher. I would say Usher had a great performance.
Usher's high.
Oh my God, that was incredible.
It was incredible. That's high up there. That is high up there for me. There was only one thing that really made me mad about that one.
Which one?
He made up for it when we saw him in Philly. But the fact that him, Ludacris, and Lil Jon had the nerve to sit on that stage and not do Lovers and Friends.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was personally offended by that.
That's crazy.
That blew my mind. I was like, there's no way y'all don't do Lovers and
I know
Friends.
you only got 15 minutes. I don't care.
I don't care, bro. You better do 20 seconds of it at least.
Just do it.
I need a chorus, something. Like that's one of my favorite Usher songs. So for me, I was like, man, and that was the only disappointment. But I definitely put that high on the list too. But Prince's was just, yeah, man. Prince is different, and I think Kendrick Lamar's has the chance of rising high on that Super Bowl performance list for me because it's just Kendrick is different, man.
I know what type of performer he is. He definitely has a chance.
I watched his last tour. I know he did. I can't remember which streaming platform streamed it, but I remember I watched it on a streaming platform, and I was just blown away. The fact that the breath control, you know, as anybody who's ever rapped, you know the amount of breath control it takes to perform for an extended amount of time, let alone when you rap as fast as Kendrick does.
Right.
It was beyond impressive, and still moving around the crowd and like, yeah, he's one of those.
Yeah, he's one of those talents. I seen him at the or I saw him for the Missed Him Around the Big Stepper store, and
that's the one I'm talking about that I watched.
Yeah, like he commanded it from start to finish. Like that was one of the few perform. I've seen a lot of people perform that you wouldn't even expect me to see perform. Like Michael Jackson's daughter, I saw her perform at a bar, like in Austin, Texas, like just random.
Bro,
you know what I'm saying?
You must have been covering the story because that's random.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't even know Michael Jackson's daughter's name. Paris. She could walk into this room right now and I wouldn't know who that was.
She was amazing, bro.
She's good.
She's good.
She's good, and,
like,
and nobody knows.
And like she had like, I can get into it, but she had like a shrimp like on her boot or in her boot or something, and she pulled it out at the end and was like, "Yo, this is my good luck shrimp." Odd. She's a Jackson.
Hold on, I need you to run. We're not just gonna blow by it. We're not just gonna blow past that. I need you to run that back.
So she had a shrimp in her
like
boot.
like we talking fried, baked,
I think
grilled?
It was pre-cooked shrimp. So you know what I mean? Definitely frozen. Probably melted in her boot.
Yeah, that might be Michael Jackson's daughter.
That's
real.
what I'm saying. They
bro's running around with a monkey. God rest Michael Jackson,
you know
legend. But yeah, definitely.
That's some Bubbles activities.
He was walking around with a monkey. She walking around with a dead shrimp in a boot, man.
You know. But yeah, so I've seen a bunch of people perform. Like I said, you never would expect me to see perform. That was for a story. No surprise there.
Okay, had to be.
But yeah, the way Kendrick can command a stage at only 5'6" too. We got to acknowledge that. There's a talent that comes with being vertically challenged man, but yet still can command a stage. And has that bigger presence on stage, man. Shout out to Kendrick, man.
He 5'6"?
5'6".
Oh yeah.
Yeah, him, Wayne,
Bruno Mars look like he little like that too.
Yeah, Bruno Mars is 5'5".
Oh yeah.
I have a weird obsession with like.
I was gonna say, why do you know these off the top of your head?
I know
like
you
this,
can ask me the randomest hip hop artist. I probably know their height.
How tall is 2 Chainz?
2 Chainz is 6'5".
How tall is Lil Wayne?
Lil Wayne is 5'6". I'm telling you, bro.
Bro, hold on. We gotta explore this one.
Bro,
I'm about to throw you off. How tall is Ludacris?
Ooh, 5'8".
I'm about to. We finna fact check this.
He's either 5'8" or 5'7".
Hold on. If you're right, that's an insane talent that you have, brother. That.
I'm obsessed.
He's 5'8".
Bro, telling you.
Bro, hold on.
I be knowing, man.
How tall is Meg Stallion?
5'9".
How tall is Cardi B?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know. My guess would be 5'6".
Nah,
Meg probably 5'10" though.
Nah, Cardi B short. Cardi B 5'3".
Dang.
I got you. I know.
Oh yeah, you got me.
That's crazy though, bro.
Yeah.
That's a random skill to have, bro.
Skill, bro.
Bro, you just got this.
You know how people can read lips and stuff? I can read height.
You could just look. And be like, oh yeah.
I can read height. You can have heels on, wig on, whatever. If you a dude, you got insoles. I can tell, bro. You know
I see. The ratio not right, man. I see what you're doing.
I see what's going on, but yeah.
That's crazy.
Man, what an episode.
What an episode, bro. But we in the double digits.
We in the double digits.
I feel like
number 10.
I feel like now we're really official.
Oh, absolutely. Like, once we get over that barrier of consistency, number 10, it's only up from here.
Yeah, bro. Up. This is love, man. Shout out to everybody who's been subscribing. If you have not, please make sure you're subscribed on YouTube so that you get all of our content. Not only the full-length podcast episodes, but also just additional content that we're about to start rolling out there as well. Make sure that you are, if you don't listen on YouTube, make sure that you're listening to the audio on Spotify, Apple. We're on there as well. Follow us on Instagram, Rap and Reason. TikTok is Rap and Reason, I believe, too.
Yes,
man. Stay locked in, man. Keep commenting. We love seeing it, man. You know, agree, disagree with our takes. Either way, it's still love, man. We appreciate the engagement.
Yes, sir.
Man, shout out to y'all. Rap and Reason, my boy. Absolutely. Episode 10, and we will see y'all next Wednesday.